that several high-rises in that areas have also been brought to the ground. Reports are coming in that Israel might be preparing for a ground invasion of the area, and before that they are softening up the targets and also certain locations which they suspect that Hamas might be using it to its advantage before the ground operations carry out. But however, right now what we understand is Israel has been restricted itself to airstrikes and shelling alone, and these are in fact visuals coming in from the Gaza city area where we can see the smoke billowing from areas where it has been completely hit by the Israeli ammunition that has been delivered either because of shelling or by airstrikes. Several buildings and neighborhoods in Gaza have been reduced to rubble because of this. And the Israeli airstrikes have hit the town, and many of them are questioning as to whether the Hamas will be able to hold on to some of these areas in Gaza after being pounded by the Israeli forces. This is the sixth day of the attack that has taken place on Gaza. The attack was response to the Hamas invasion of southern Israel. Hamas soldiers had moved on the southern area of Israel and had taken over territory as well. They have been pushed back into Gaza after fighting for the last 5 days, and Gaza is now in focus as Israel said that it would extract its pound of flesh, especially for the kind of attack that was carried out in the southern region of that country. Meanwhile, visuals are coming in of the barrage of rocket attacks that are being carried out from the Gaza Strip towards Ashkelon. Ashkelon is a city in Israel that has become the epicenter of attacks from the Gaza Strip. Ashkelon has been targeted several times by the Hamas leadership by firing rockets into the city. Ashkelon has in fact borne the brunt of the rocket attacks against Israel. The citizens of Ashkelon have been given instructions to go towards the bomb centers and to hide themselves inside until further notice is given. IDF is also patrolling the streets of Ashkelon. The Iron Dome has been activated across Ashkelon to protect it from the rocket attacks, but relentless attacks coming in from the Gaza Strip towards Ashkelon. Israel kept pounding Hamas targets in Gaza, as a response to which Hamas has been firing rockets into the city of Ashkelon. There have been sirens blaring in the background as well as the rockets barge in and the Iron Dome defense shield kicks in. Many of them have been asked to leave their high rises and move towards bomb shelters and to remain in bomb shelters until further notice. Hamas has been striking Israel with rockets that are being made in the Gaza region. Hamas's rockets have been able to breach some of the Iron Dome shield as well in certain areas where reports have been coming in that the rockets have struck several areas within Ashkelon as well. The Israeli Air Force, meanwhile, has been carrying on with its airstrikes in the Gaza Strip. And as you can see from the visuals of how the Iron Dome is also trying to stop the barrage of rockets coming in from that area. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and centrist opposition leader Benny Gantz have reached an agreement to establish an emergency unity government. This new government will form a war cabinet, including Netanyahu and Gantz having key role to play, and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant focusing solely on the ongoing conflict with Hamas in Gaza. It remains uncertain what will happen to Netanyahu's existing government partners, mainly far-right and ultra-Orthodox parties. Observers like the former IDF Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot and Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer may play a very crucial role in this war cabinet, or what is being called as a unity government. This development development comes after months of domestic political turmoil in Israel, and it has been centered around proposed reforms to the country's judiciary. Meanwhile, critics have characterized these reforms as an attempt to assert control over the judicial branch, and they have also dubbed it as a judicial coup by the Netanyahu government. But right now, after the attacks that have taken place in southern Israel, the opposition have decided to bury their differences and join the unity government, and it looks like crucial role is going to be played by the leaders when it comes to handling the Hamas issue in Israel. And it was Netanyahu's Likud, which has been heading the far-right coalition, that had given the call for a unity government. Meanwhile, my colleagues Manish Jha as well as Sumit has been on the ground reporting from various locations in Israel over the border movement, as well as what the kind of damages that are being suffered by the people of Israel. Let's listen into some of the reports coming in from my colleagues.
शनिवार को हमास के हमले के बाद आज छठा दिन है जब इजराइल की तरफ से लगातार एयर स्ट्राइक हो रहे हैं, लेकिन इस बीच में हमास की तरफ से भी अलग अलग ठिकानों पर मिसाइल छोड़े जा रहे हैं। और उसमें से एक है ये हाइफा सिटी। हाइफा सिटी आप इस वक्त देख रहे हैं, जो कि एक पोर्ट सिटी है, बहुत बड़ा सिटी है, इजराइल के बड़े शहरों में से एक शुमार है। और यहाँ पर आप देखिए, ये सामने में आपको पोर्ट भी दिखाई दे रहा है, बहुत सारे यहाँ पर कार्गो शिप भी यहाँ पर मौजूद है। और इस वक्त की सबसे बड़ी खबर ये है कि अभी थोड़ी देर पहले ही यहां से कई लड़ाकू विमान इजराइल एयरफोर्स के हाइफा के आसमान से होकर गुजरे हैं, और वो संभावना है कि वो लड़ाकू विमान लेबनान बॉर्डर की तरफ गए होंगे, क्योंकि लेबनान बॉर्डर जो इजराइल का नॉर्दर्न बॉर्डर है वो यहां से पास में है, और वहां से हिजबुल्लाह की चुनौती लगातार बनी हुई है। तो वैसी स्थिति में हाइफा और लेबनान बॉर्डर पर जो शहर हैं वो एक तरफ नया फ्रंट के तौर पर इजराइल के लिए बड़ी चुनौती है। लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि यहाँ के लोगों को ये कहा गया है कि यहाँ पर कई मिसाइल से हमले हो सकते हैं, चाहे वो हमास के मिसाइल हो या हिजबुल्लाह की मिसाइल हो। इस वक्त TV9 की टीम हाइफा शहर में मौजूद है, जहां पर ये आशंका जताई जा रही है कि हमास और हिजबुल्लाह दोनों की तरफ से रॉकेट इस शहर में दागे जा सकते हैं। एक ऐसा शहर जो इजराइल का सबसे कमर्शियल शहर है, जहां पर पोर्ट है, जहां पर उनकी सारी इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट, इंडस्ट्रियल एक्टिविटी होती है, उस शहर को टारगेट कर सकता है हमास और हिजबुल्लाह दोनों मिलकर। और वैसी स्थिति में यहाँ पर काफ़ी अलर्ट मोड में रखा गया है सभी लोगों को, और उन्हें बताया गया है कि महज 15 सेकंड के अंदर उन्हें तुरंत बंकर में चले जाना है। इससे पहले जब हमास ने 120 किलोमीटर दूरी वाली लॉन्ग रेंज मिसाइल से हमला किया था, तो संयोग की बात यह थी कि वो मिसाइल एक ऐसी जगह पर गिरा जहां कोई व्यक्ति नहीं था, और इसलिए कोई डैमेज नहीं हुआ। तो इस वक्त TV9 की टीम आपको इस लोकेशन से रिपोर्ट करके बता रही है कि क्या सिचुएशन है इजराइल के हाइफा सिटी की। इस वक्त मैं इजराइल के हाइफा शहर में हूं, और कल शाम में हाइफा में हमास की तरफ से 120 किलोमीटर लॉन्ग रेंज की मिसाइल से अटैक किया गया था। और ये इजराइल के उत्तरी इलाके का स्थित वो शहर है जहां पर 120 किलोमीटर दूर अब तक का हमास का सबसे बड़ा अटैक है मिसाइल के जरिए। तो वैसी स्थिति में आप समझ ही सकते हैं कि हमास की कितनी तैयारी है। फिर चाहे हम बात करें अमेरिकी बंधकों को छुड़ाने की या फिर फेंसिंग को ठीक करने की। देखिए, फेंसिंग को ठीक करने की बात यह है कि आज तक फेंसिंग के बनने के बाद से इजराइल दुनिया भर के पत्रकारों को लाकर वो फेंसिंग दिखाता था, क्योंकि वो इजराइल के गर्व और गौरव का प्रतीक था। लेकिन शनिवार को हमास ने अपने हमले के दरमियान जिस तरह से बुलडोजर से उसे क्षतिग्रस्त किया, उसके बाद कल शाम से उसके मरम्मत का काम जारी है। और देखिए कि मरम्मत कैसे हो रही है। मरम्मत के लिए जहां 4 कंपनियां लगाई गई है, वहीं उसको कवर देने के लिए ऊपर में फाइटर जेट उड़ रहे हैं, लड़ाकू हेलीकॉप्टर उड़ रहे हैं, ड्रोन से मॉनिटरिंग की जा रही है, ताकि जो लोग फेंसिंग की मरम्मत कर रहे हैं उनको हमास अटैक नहीं कर सके। और इस बीच में सैकड़ों जवान को मरम्मत के काम में लगाया गया है, लेकिन अभी भी इजरायली डिफेंस फोर्स का कहना है कि कई दिन लगेंगे उन फेंसिंग की मरम्मत में। फेंसिंग की मरम्मत इसलिए है ताकि एक बार फिर जब हमास के लड़ाके अंदर घुसने की कोशिश करे तो उन्हें रोका जा सके। और वो जरूरी इसलिए है क्योंकि हर 12 घंटे 14 घंटे के दरमियान 1-2 अटेम्प्ट बार बार हमास के लड़ाकों की तरफ से होती है उस सीमा को पार करके अंदर इजरायली सीमा में घुसने की।
और इस समय सेजरॉट में है और एक बार फिर से यहाँ पर अटैक किए गए हैं। और अगर आप देखें कि अभी फोर्सेस के साथ में मौजूद थे जहाँ पर ये अटैक किए गए हैं, और देखिए कुछ जगहों को जिनको अटैक किया गया है वहाँ पर रेजिडेंशियल भी लोग बाहर आए हैं, और अभी मोटे तौर पर इस रेजिडेंशियल एरिया को टारगेट किया गया है। फोर्सेस के साथ हम यहाँ मौजूद है, कई मल्टीपल जगहों के ऊपर ये अटैक किए गए हैं। हालांकि कहाँ पर शेल गिरा है, ये एसेस करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। हम इस समय मौजूद हैं और देखिए अभी यहाँ के जो लोग हैं वो दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। देखिए सड़कों पर और ऊपर आप देखें कि लोग अपने रेजिडेंशियल एरिया पे है और वो इशारा करके हमको बता रहे हैं कि देखिए उस तरफ अटैक हुआ है। और ये सेरोट का वो इलाका है जहाँ पर रॉकेट से कई जगहों पर, मल्टीपल जगहों पर अटैक हुए हैं।
Well, emergency services were rushing to a site in Rafah, which was hit by the Israeli Air Force. Civil defense vehicles and ambulances rushed to the site of a building that was struck by the Israeli airstrike in Rafah in southern Gaza Strip area. It is being said that Israel continued its bombardment of the targets in the densely populated Palestinian enclave for the 6th consecutive day in response to Hamas's unprecedented attack over its southern border regions. These are in fact visuals that show the aftermath of the Israeli strikes in that particular area in Rafah. You can see the buildings have been completely destroyed, and the emergency responders in Rafah are responding to the situation there. As we can see, the buildings, a concrete building structure has been completely reduced to rubble after the Israeli airstrike on that particular region. Let us in fact listen to what the situation is in the Israeli relief camps and what are the people thinking about the war with Hamas.
We are here because there is no one in the town and they need the help. There is a lot of family who stay in this town and have to get some help. We are organization from SSF, it's Sauvetoire Sans Frontières, it's a French organization. And we work in all the world, in Turkey, in Ukraine, and now it's in our home, so we have to come here. And as you see, we have we get a lot of games, food for baby, and we disturbing all the stuff to everyone who need it.
Listen, we are here Saturday. We arrive in 1 o'clock, and we help to save lives. My organization is Rescue Without Border, SSF Rescue Without Border. What we want to do is save lives. And we have a very, very bad situation in the Kfar Aza, Nachalos, soldiers and citizens need the first aid, and we do what we can do. This is our mission.
We are civilians. We are not defense forces. We are civilians. Our weapon, it's our spirit. I'm a volunteer. I don't live in Sderot at all. I came near Jerusalem. I live in Jerusalem. Left everything behind me. Left my business, my kids. I have 9 children. I left everything behind. Came here to support the people. Okay, and all the people that you see are volunteers. All the food that you see around us was delivered voluntarily. Okay, and we deliver it to the people of Sderot in order to support them physically and also mentally.
My colleague is in Sderot. Sderot has also become one of those centers where there has been heavy fighting and damages have been reported because of the rocket attacks. Let's listen to what he had to say.
सदरौट में यहाँ इस समय जहाँ पर अटैक हुआ है उस घर के लोगों को यहाँ से निकाला जा रहा है। देखिए एक बुजुर्ग महिला को, सीनियर सिटीजन को यहाँ से निकाला जा रहा है। उनके पैर में भी शायद चोट लगी है, उनके पैर में भी। और देखिए यहाँ से लोगों को हटाया जा रहा है। यहाँ पे अब से कुछ मिनटों पे जब हम यहाँ मौजूद थे तब ये अटैक हुआ। पूरे घर में आग लगी हुई है। लगातार जो फायर ब्रिगेड्स हैं वो यहाँ पर मौजूद है, वो लगातार यहाँ पर मौजूद है। आग पर काबू पाने का काम किया जा रहा है। कई जगहों पर सदरौट के अंदर इस तरीके से अटैक हुए हैं। फोर्सेज यहाँ ऑन ग्राउंड है और लेकिन खास बात यह कि अभी भी यहाँ पर रहकर अटैक किए जा रहे हैं। और यहीं से बेहद करीब गाजा पट्टी है जहाँ पर बम्बारमेंट की जा रही थी, लेकिन उसी बीच हमास की तरफ से लगातार ये रॉकेट दागे गए। और देखिए अब हम यहाँ पे आपको बता रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से अभी यहाँ से लोगों को यहाँ से लगाया जा रहा है। कुछ लोगों को चोटें भी आई हैं। यहाँ पर मैं आपको अपने कैमरा पर्सन के साथ चल के दिखाता हूँ कि देखिए अभी यहाँ पर इस घर में यो जाके शेल गिरा है। और महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि ना सिर्फ यहाँ पर बल्कि देखिए वहाँ पर भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा डैमेजेस हुए हैं। और देखिए मैं आपको लगातार सदरौट के इलाके में हूँ जहाँ पर ये अटैक हुए हैं। और देखिए लगातार अभी अगर आप देख रहे हो कि आपको नजर आएगा कि कई गाड़ियों को डैमेजेस हुए हैं, कई शेल्स जो हैं, कई रॉकेट जो है यहाँ पर आकर गिरे हैं। वो अगर आप देखिए तो आपको शेल्स के स्प्लिंटर्स जो हैं वो आपको नजर आ जाएंगे। और ये ऐसा हर दूसरी जगहों पर सेड्रॉट के इलाके में हो रहा है और मैं इस समय सेड्रॉट में ही मौजूद हूँ। देखिए इस घर को भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा नुकसान पहुँचा है और उस घर में जो अगर आप आगे देख रहे हो तब वहाँ पर लगातार उस घर में आग लगी है, जहाँ पर फायर ब्रिगेड्स की जो गाड़ियाँ हैं, जो फायर टेंडर्स, वो लगातार उस पर काबू पाने का काम कर रहे हैं। और हम आपको TV9 भारतवर्ष आपको लगातार इन इलाकों से रिपोर्ट कर रहा है जो इस समय गाज़ा पट्टी के बहुत करीब है और यहाँ पर क्या सूरत हाल है ये आपको दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। 2 लोग थे उस घर के अंदर जिनको चोटें आई हैं, जिनको ले जाया जा रहा था, एक बुजुर्ग महिला और एक और शख्स बताया जा रहा है जिसको वहाँ से हटाया जा रहा है। और अगर आप देखें कि अभी भी वहाँ पर काबू पाने का काम लगातार चल रहा है।
Meanwhile, Israeli artillery near Sderot fires shells towards Gaza as bulldozers demolish what was left of Sderot's police station. Sderot's police station became the center of fighting on Saturday between Hamas terrorists as well as the Israeli police. The Israeli police were the first responders against the Hamas infiltration in the southern region and in this southern town of Sderot. It is being said that police station was the first place that the Hamas terrorists attacked with heavy weapons and rocket-propelled grenades. This particular police station was demolished by the authorities. Several policemen were killed in that crossfire between Hamas as well as the Israeli forces over there. And the Israeli forces have in fact been able to push the Hamas terrorists from the Sderot area, but the damages are still being assessed as to what has happened to that town after the Hamas terrorists invaded it. A cross-section of South Africans took to the streets of Johannesburg in support of the people of Palestine as the deadly conflict between Israel and the militant group Hamas continued. Some people said that they were joining in the protest to show solidarity with the Palestinians who have faced decades of oppression. The demonstrations were organized by pro-Palestine group BDS, Boycott, Disinvest and Sanctions, which continues to call for the boycott of Israeli products, disinvestments as well as sanctions against the country. They were held as the Jewish community in South Africa also announced plans to hold prayer sessions and solidarity events this week in support of Israel. South Africa's government has called in for an immediate cessation of violence between Israel and Palestine. Meanwhile, there have been global reactions coming in from United States and the rest of the world. The United States had in fact strongly reacted to what's happening in Israel and have pledged the support of the United States for Israel as it faces one of its biggest terror attacks and reprisals also being carried out by Israelis on the Gaza Strip area against Hamas.
A very simple and clear message on behalf of the President of the United States and on behalf of the American people. And that is that the United States has Israel's back. We have the back of the Israeli people. We have their back today. We'll have it tomorrow. We will have it every day. We stand resolutely against terrorism. We've seen the almost undescribable acts committed by Hamas against Israeli men, women, and children. Every day we're learning more. And it is simply heartbreaking. Not since ISIS have we seen this kind of depravity. And we will continue to stand very resolutely against it. When I'm in Israel, I'll have the opportunity to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Herzog, other senior officials. I look forward to seeing our embassy team as well that's been doing terrific work during these difficult days. We're determined to make sure that Israel gets everything it needs to defend itself. to provide for the security of its people. Already, significant military assistance requested by Israel is on the way. That's on top of everything that we've been doing for years, including with the Memorandum of Understanding that was negotiated by President Obama to make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself. At the same time, we anticipate there'll be further needs, further requests. We've already been working closely with Congress on this, and we look forward to continuing to do that to make sure that Israel has what it needs. Second, we will be reaffirming the very strong message that President Biden has delivered to any country or any party that might try to take advantage of this situation. And that message is don't. The President has deployed, as you know, the world's largest aircraft carrier group to the region to make very clear our intent to deter anyone contemplating any further aggression against Israel. Finally, we're, of course, very focused on our own people, our own citizens. We lost 22 Americans. That number could still go up, and it probably will. At the same time, we have a number of Americans who remain unaccounted. We are working very closely with the government of Israel to determine their whereabouts and if they have been taken hostage by Hamas, to work to secure their release. So all of these things are on the agenda over the next day or so with Israel, but the main point is this. We stand with Israel. We'll continue to do so. Thank you. We want to make sure to the best of our ability, and I know Israel wants to make sure to the best of its ability that civilians are not harmed. But Israel has to take steps to defend itself. It has to make sure that any ongoing threat is dealt with, and I believe it has to make sure that going forward, what happened doesn't happen again. We do everything we can to make sure that in these situations we avoid civilian casualties. That is in direct contrast with Hamas, which uses people as human shields. It actually seeks to put Palestinian civilians in situations where they could be harmed. This is very much part of their game plan. So we know that Israel will take all of the precautions that it can, just as we would. And again, that's what separates us from Hamas and terrorist groups that engage in the most heinous kind of activities.
You know, there are moments in this life, and I mean this literally, when the pure, unadulterated evil is unleashed on this world. The people of Israel lived through one such moment this weekend. The bloody hands of the terrorist organization Hamas, a group whose stated purpose for being is to kill Jews. This was an act of sheer evil. More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered, not just killed, slaughtered in Israel.
Meanwhile, the IDF has released a video of the strikes and thwarting of terrorists who had tried to reach the Israeli coast. The IDF, in fact, released the kind of action that took place at the Israeli coast while they were thwarting attempts by the Hamas terrorists to use the sea as a way to move towards the Israeli coast. The coastal forces are said to have responded by destroying the fast patrol crafts that were used by the Hamas terrorists to move towards the Israeli coast, and these are visuals that come in off that particular attack. Meanwhile, we have also visuals coming in where the Hamas targets in many of the areas in Gaza were targeted by the IDF. IDF also released a video coming in where the Hamas targets in many of the areas in Gaza were targeted by the IDF. IDF also released a video, UV as well as infrared cameras that captured the moment of attack on these buildings. So we can in fact see the IR cameras functioning and giving us that imagery, and which shows the kind of assault that was carried out by the IDF on Hamas targets in Gaza Strip. Let's listen to what the IDF had to say when it came to targeting of Hamas infrastructure at the Gaza Strip.
I've heard a seasoned war correspondent who, after walking there, described it as the worst thing he has ever seen. nothing less. And that should tell you something how horrific the scenes were. So out of 1,000 people, Israelis who lived in this beautiful community, more than 100 were killed. And today the body bags, many body bags were evacuated from that kibbutz, including those of children and including those of babies. And we got very, very disturbing reports of that came from the ground that there were babies that had been beheaded. And I admit it took us some time to really understand and to verify that report. And it was hard to believe that even Hamas could perform such a barbaric act. The Gaza Strip is one of the densest populated areas in the world, about 20 miles from one end to the other, and about 9 miles in the widest location and less than 6 in the most narrow. What Hamas has done since they took control almost 20 years ago of the Gaza Strip is basically to build a network of tunnels from Gaza City and under Gaza City, which is the center and the biggest part of their infrastructure, all the way down to Khan Yunis and Rafah. So imagine we're looking at the Gaza Strip, but really think of the Gaza Strip as one layer for the civilians and then another layer for Hamas. And what we're doing now is that we are trying to get to that second layer.
My colleague Sumit, who's on the ground, reports on the kind of impact the war has had on Israel. Let's listen in.
और इस समय से रॉट में है और एक बार फिर से यहाँ पर अटैक किए गए हैं। और अगर आप देखें कि अभी फोर्सेस के साथ में मौजूद थे जहाँ पर ये अटैक किए गए हैं, और देखिए कुछ जगहों को जिनको अटैक किया गया है वहाँ पर रेजिडेंशियल भी लोग बाहर आए हैं और अभी मोटे तौर पर इस रेजिडेंशियल एरिया को टारगेट किया गया है। फोर्सेस के साथ हम यहाँ मौजूद है, कई मल्टीपल जगहों के ऊपर ये अटैक किए गए हैं। हालांकि कहाँ पर शेल गिरा है ये एसेस करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। हम इस समय मौजूद हैं और देखिए अभी यहाँ के जो लोग हैं वो दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। देखिए सड़कों पर और ऊपर आप देखें कि लोग अपने रेजिडेंशियल एरिया पे है और वो इशारा करके हमको बता रहे हैं कि देखिए उस तरफ अटैक हुआ है। और ये सेरोड का वो इलाका है जहाँ पर रॉकेट से कई जगहों पर मल्टीपल जगहों पर अटैक हुए हैं।
My colleague Manisha was at the border with Lebanon, where again tensions are building between the Israeli military as well as the Hezbollah. There has been movement of military vehicles of the IDF towards that region as well. Let's listen in.
मैं आपको बताऊं कि भले ही दुनिया की नजरें इस वक्त हमास और गाजा पट्टी पर हो, लेकिन इजराइल लेबनान बॉर्डर वो जगह है जो कि इस युद्ध के स्केल को बहुत बड़ा कर सकता है। और इस वक्त TV9 की टीम इजराइल लेबनान बॉर्डर के पास पहुंची हुई है और इस इलाके की जो टेरिटरी है उसको मैं पहले आपको दिखाऊं। देखिए मेरे पीछे जो आप देख रहे हैं, इस इलाके में आपको इस तरह की ऊंची ऊंची पहाड़ियां मिलेंगी और ऊंची ऊंची पहाड़ियों के बीच में मैंने 2-3 जो नोटिस किया है बात, वो ये चीज सबसे पहले हमारे कैमरा सहयोगी आपको दिखाएंगे कि इस बॉर्डर के पास जो लगातार ट्रूप्स को डिप्लॉय किया जा रहा है और टैंक को डिप्लॉय किया जा रहा है। देखिए 1, 2, 3, 4 टैंक को यहाँ पर जो है वो व्हीकल्स पर तैनात है, जिसको आगे बढ़ाकर फिर पोजीशन पर डिप्लॉय किया जाएगा। लगातार यहाँ से दूसरे मिलिट्री व्हीकल्स को जाते हुए मैं देख रहा हूँ। और जो मैंने नोटिस किया है, यहाँ पर सैकड़ों की संख्या में मुझे सैनिकों के कार दिखाई दिए हैं, यानी कि वो लोग अपने अपने कार को पार्किंग में लगाकर और फिर अपनी पोजीशन को लिए हुए हैं। तो हाथ में हथियार है, अपनी कार से आते हैं, कार को कहीं पर लगा दे रहे हैं। और इस बॉर्डर के आसपास 35 से 40 किलोमीटर का जो एरिया है वहां पर उन्होंने अपनी सेना को तैनात कर रखा है। तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि इसका मतलब यह है कि उन्हें इस बात की आशंका है कि अगर यहां पर स्थिति बढ़ी, अगर लेबनान की तरफ से हमला हुआ, तो वैसी स्थिति में ज़्यादा संभावना यह है कि अगर वो इजरायली सीमा के अंदर घुसे तो 35 किलोमीटर तक उनका सामना किया जा सके। इस तरह की तैयारी यहाँ इजराइल ने लेबनान बॉर्डर पर कर रखी है।
Well, these are in fact visuals coming of the continuous airstrikes against Gaza, especially in the Rafah region. Rafah region is also important when it comes to the border crossing for the Palestinians towards Egypt, and both the sides of Rafah crossing has also been completely sealed by the Egyptians to prevent any sort of Hamas militants or terrorists moving towards its region as well. Meanwhile, there have been several reactions coming in from global leaders as well. There's been a reaction coming in from Ukrainian President Zelensky as well as from the French government as well. Let's listen in.
Terrorists like Putin or like Hamas seek to hold free and democratic nations as hostages. And they want power over those who seek freedom. The terrorists will not change. They just must lose.
France is also on the side of international law and peace, of which it is and will remain a staunch defender. Everything must be done to avoid escalation in the Middle East, to protect the civilian population and to prevent the Middle East from going up in flames. These unjustifiable terrorist attacks by Hamas must not distract us from search for a lasting peace and a political solution to the conflict.
Meanwhile, amid the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, India has launched Operation Ajay to facilitate the return of its citizens from war-torn Israel. There are 18,000 Indians in Israel. There was a tweet that was put out by the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. In the tweet, he's saying, launching Operation Ajay to facilitate the return from Israel of our citizens who wish to return. Special charter flights and other arrangements being put into place, fully committed to the safety and well-being of our nationals abroad. This is from Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar on the platform X. The first lot of Indians who had registered to return have been told that they will be put on a special flight tomorrow to India. On the fifth day of the Israel-Hamas war, there were stunning visuals coming in of the engagement that has been there between the IDF as well as the bombardment of Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip for the fifth consecutive day. These are in fact Merkava tanks of the Israeli military that has been moved towards the border regions, especially towards Gaza and Lebanon, to stop any kind of efforts of an audacious attack that could come from militant organizations in these regions. Meanwhile, there have been advanced weaponry that has been supplied by the United States reaching the whole of the Israeli military. They will be using these advanced weapons for their strategic needs as well. The death toll, meanwhile, has climbed to thousands as this war rages on. These visuals, in fact, show you what happened at the locations in Gaza as well as in Israel because of the rocket attacks and the continuous bombardment. Palestinians now moving through the rubble in many places as high-rises have been reduced to rubble in the Gaza Strip region. Many of them trying to go through the rubble and to salvage as much as possible. 2.3 million Palestinians are present in the Gaza area. You can see from these visuals the kind of destruction that has happened in the Gaza Strip area because of the bombing. These bombings have been carried out. These are entire neighborhoods that have been reduced to rubble in this particular war. Well, in a tragic incident, at least 4 people lost their lives while more than 70 people were left injured after 6 coaches of the Delhi-Kamakhya North East Express derailed near the Raghunathpur station in Bihar's Buxar. The derailment happened around 9:53 p.m. At least 2 AC3 tire coaches had toppled while 4 other coaches jumped the tracks. Now, Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has stated that the government will investigate the cause of the derailment. He also announced that the rescue operations has been completed in Bihar's Buxar district. Evacuation and rescue have been completed. All coaches have been checked. Train to ferry passengers have also moved to the location, is what the information has been given by the minister on the platform X. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma has also gone ahead and expressed his grief over the accident. He took to the platform X to say that he gave his heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and said that he was praying for their recovery of those who were injured. Meanwhile, there have been reports also coming in that the Bihar government has announced an ex gratia of rupees 4 lakhs for the kin of those who lost their lives in this tragic incident and 50,000 for those who have been injured. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed on the platform X that he is pained by the loss of the lives due to the derailment of a few coaches of the Northeast Express. Condolences to the bereaved families. He said that he prays for the quick recovery of the injured and authorities are providing all the required help for those who require it on the ground and for the passengers who were on that particular train. Well, in this tragic incident, at least 4 people had lost their lives, while more than 70 people were left injured after this accident of the Delhi-Kamakhya North East Express. Meanwhile, Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has also stated on the Twitter platform X that all requisite efforts are being carried out to go on with the rescue efforts and also to ensure that the stranded passengers are moved to safer locations and away from the accident site. Several rescue and relief personnel were also on the ground. They were trying to help passengers to move out of the coaches. It was the AC 3-tire coaches that first got derailed, after which the rest of the train derailed. 21 coaches of the train has derailed, of the Northeast Express has derailed, and efforts are on to remove the coaches and to clear the route as soon as possible, as several trains have been delayed. While the relationship between India and Canada remains strained, a report in the UK-based Financial Times has stated that External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held a secret meeting with his Canadian counterpart, Melanie Joly. Now, it has been said that this particular meet could be facilitated by the United States. The report also suggests that Canada is working to improve relations with India after their falling out over the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The Canadian Foreign Minister had previously stated that they are attempting to resolve the issue privately. In a recent development from Mizoram, Larinya Silo was stepped down from the role as Speaker of the Assembly and as an MLA of CM Zoramthanga's Mizo National Front. He made his announcement on Wednesday and expressed his intention to join efforts aimed at rescuing the state from what he believes is a severe financial crisis. Silo's departure marks the 8th legislator to resign just ahead of the November 7th elections for the 40-member House. Notably, he has denied an MNF ticket to contest from Khalif seat that he previously won in 2018. Silo was accompanied by members of the state BJP unit and is expected that he will officially join the Saffron Party today. It looks like there is trouble for Mizoram and for the MNF as Zoramthanga's trusted men keep resigning from his party. The latest is the Speaker of Mizoram, who has submitted his resignation and is also from his MLA seat. It is expected that Silo, the Speaker, would in fact go ahead and join the BJP. Zoramthanga will be facing elections on November 7th to the 40-member House. MNF has been trying to keep its flock together, but internal differences is said to have risen, especially among various leaders who have been loyal to Zoramthanga. The latest being the Speaker of the Mizoram House now moving out, and this is what has resulted in probably the BJP in fact gaining ground in Mizoram as the dissidents walk out of the MNF. Let's listen into what the former Speaker of Mizoram had to say.
Considering financial crisis in Mizoram, Mizoram needs a bailout from central government. This is very important for the future to come. BJP has a lot of chance in India in the ensuing elections in 2024. So we have to work together with them. We must not be a thorn from the central government as well. So I like to join the BJP for the betterment of Mizoram.
Trouble is far from over for NewsClick. In the latest development, the Central Bureau of Investigation has registered an FIR against NewsClick, alleging that the news website violated foreign funding regulations under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act of the FCRA. The CBI also conducted searches at the residence of the office of Prabir Purkasyasta, the founder of NewsClick, on Wednesday morning as well. Previously, the Enforcement Directorate had alleged that NewsClick had received illegal funding from China, leading to raids on its offices by the ED. This development has also taken a political turn, with opposition leaders alleging vendetta against NewsClick. Well, the CBI has registered an FCRA case against NewsClick. NewsClick has also been under the ED scanner in the last few weeks, especially over the alleged funding row that has erupted. It is also being said that searches by the CBI was also conducted at the office of its editor, Prabir Purkasyasta, the founder of NewsClick, on Wednesday as well. Previously, the Enforcement Directorate had carried out raids against NewsClick and had taken the digital data of NewsClick for scrutiny. Well, that's all in this edition of the Bulletin, but stay tuned with News9 as we bring in the latest from what's happening in the Israel-Hamas war.
Hello everyone, Namaskar. I'm music composer Ricky Cage, 3-time Grammy Award winner and a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, and you're watching me on First Person on News9 Plus.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
There was a metro revolution in the country, immediately, explosion. And today about 20 metros are going on. The government should realize metro is not for business. Metro is a social service. I come from a very middle class family located in Agiranam village of Palghat district. I am the youngest of the 8 children in the family, but my father was very particular that all the children should have good education. My eldest brother was an electrical engineer. He was very keen that I should join railway, because in those days railway was the best organization for any engineer in the country. It was almost a dream post. Fortunately for me, in the very first attempt itself, I cleared UPSC examination with a rank of 7 in the whole of India, and I was allotted to Southern Railway for my training and for my services. When I joined railways in 1954 itself, that is almost 7 years after independence, the railway was still traditionally like the European, the Britishers run type of railway, very disciplined.